15 timeless principles, whispered by the ancient discipline of Stoicism, rise like unseen pillars beneath the foundation of your financial life. And as you listen to these words, you will feel a quiet certainty that there are hidden keys within you, waiting to be turned by a patient and deliberate hand. For the path to transforming your financial destiny begins not with frantic action, but with inner mastery and self-command. And so, we begin with a strong statement born of that tradition, which tells us that wealth without wisdom is poverty in disguise, and freedom without discipline is merely another kind of bondage. Immediately, as these words settle, you are invited to reflect on your own patterns, your hopes and your fears around money and value. Perhaps you might even consider sharing these thoughts with others as you move through this journey, because only by speaking aloud or writing down our deepest convictions do we make them real in the world. And I promise you now that at the end of this long and reflective exploration, there will be a single insight, a truth both practical and luminous, that has the power to shift the way you see not only your finances, but the very meaning of prosperity itself. If you stay with me until that conclusion, you will witness that promise fulfilled and feel its weight in your own life, as if you had walked with a mentor through the marble corridors of Rome and emerged into sunlight. Renewed and ready to act, our journey begins in a place older than any coin, older than any market, older than the written word itself. For the roots of Stoicism reach deep into the soil of human struggle and longing. And it is here that we find the first secret of transformation. The quality of your inner state determines the quality of your outer wealth. Picture yourself walking at dawn through a Roman forum before the merchants have opened their stalls. The stone under your sandals still cool from the night, and the statues of emperors and philosophers looking down with expressions carved to withstand the ages. You can hear the faint cries of gulls above the Tiber River and smell the faint sweetness of figs being arranged by unseen hands. In this quiet hour, you realize that money is not yet flowing. The markets have not yet awakened, and yet the city breathes. The city endures. The city prepares. Because preparation and patience are the first currencies of the wise. Now, let us travel to another culture, a windswept plateau in the high Andes, where a solitary figure watches over a herd of llamas, his cloak whipped by the cold air and his mind steady as the mountains. This shepherd knows cycles of scarcity and abundance without reading a single financial chart. He practices patience. He saves what he can. He shares when it is needed. And he endures. From his silent vigilance, we draw the second secret, which is the discipline of moderation, without which no fortune can remain whole. And so we weave image after image, from ancient Rome to the Andes, from a merchant in Cairo counting copper coins beneath the call to prayer, to a modern worker in a glass tower scrolling through numbers on a glowing screen. At each point we pause not to list, but to experience the atmosphere of restraint, courage, and clarity, because these are the inner conditions that transform the handling of wealth into an art and a form of freedom. Imagine now standing at the shore of a vast ocean at sunrise, the water gold and crimson, the horizon endless. A fisherman prepares his nets, knowing the tides and the winds and the seasons. He does not cast all at once, but measures his movements with the rhythm of nature. From him emerges the third secret of Stoic financial life, which is the alignment of action with understanding. For action without reflection is mere reaction, and reaction is the enemy of freedom. As you hear these scenes unfold, allow them to seep into you not as separate pieces, but as a continuous thread weaving through your own story. Because somewhere in you, there is a marketplace, a mountain plateau, a quiet desk at dawn where decisions about your resources and your future are being made. Every secret we speak here is like a small lamp set upon that desk, one by one, until the room is bright enough for you to see clearly and decide wisely. Now turn your mind to a crowded street in modern Tokyo, neon signs flashing, people moving with precise efficiency. A salaryman pauses at a vending machine, buys a simple tea instead of an expensive drink, places the coins carefully back into his wallet and walks on without hurry. This small act, invisible to the crowd, is an echo of Marcus Aurelius writing by lamplight in his tent during a military campaign, that nothing outside of our reason has power over us unless we grant it so. Here lies the fourth secret of Stoic finance, which is voluntary simplicity, the freedom of choosing less in order to have more of what truly matters. And as we move deeper into this exploration, you will notice how each image, ancient or modern, carries a principle within it, like a seed wrapped in a shell, waiting for the soil of your reflection to crack it open and release its power. Imagine now a vast library, candlelit shelves of scrolls and codices stretching into the darkness. You walk among them, fingers trailing over the spines, until you find a single unmarked volume. As you open it, you see written not numbers or accounts, but questions about value, about virtue, about purpose. At the bottom of the page, a note in faded ink says, "Remember that all wealth is borrowed from time itself." This brings us to the fifth secret, the awareness of impermanence, without which greed hardens into anxiety and generosity withers into fear. To live with the awareness of impermanence is not to despair, but to act with grace, to plan with humility, and to spend with a sense of stewardship rather than possession. This awareness softens the grip of panic in a volatile market and strengthens the resolve to save, invest, or share wisely when opportunity arises. In each of these scenes, whether a shepherd, a fisherman, a merchant, a worker, or a scholar, you have glimpsed a facet of the same gem, a discipline that binds inner freedom to outer prosperity. And as we continue, you will be guided deeper into this living tapestry of Stoic financial wisdom until you arrive at the insight I promised at the beginning, which will draw all these strands together and offer you a single clear vision of what it means to be truly wealthy. As you walk further into this tapestry of ideas, the sixth secret begins to reveal itself, not as a command, but as an invitation to imagine your finances as a garden rather than a battlefield. Picture yourself kneeling in a walled courtyard in ancient Athens, planting olive saplings that will not bear fruit for many years. Yet you plant them because you know that patience multiplies returns. This is the secret of long-view thinking, the willingness to sow today for a harvest you may not fully enjoy tomorrow. This patience frees you from the fever of quick gains and the despair of temporary losses. In the garden of your financial life, some seeds will sprout quickly and others will sleep through seasons. But with careful tending, discipline, and regular attention, the canopy will eventually shade you and those you love. Now shift to the bustling harbor of Alexandria, tall ships arriving from distant lands with spices, papyrus, and gold. Merchants shout across the docks. Sailors haul ropes and crates. And amid this noise, a quiet scholar sits near the water, writing notes about tides and trade. He records patterns. He studies histories. He looks for causes rather than rumors. This is the seventh secret, the practice of knowledge over speculation, learning the true nature of what you own or invest in before you act. Because to rush into ventures without understanding is to sail without a map, and to let rumor guide your ship is to invite shipwreck. Think of a young artisan in a medieval guild, saving a portion of every payment in a small chest under his bed year after year until he has enough to open his own workshop. He knows that skill and savings together build freedom, and that discipline in small acts creates great shifts over time. This brings us to the eighth secret, the power of incremental progress. When you feel impatient, remember that each coin set aside is a brick in the foundation of independence. And that foundation is built not by grand gestures, but by steady laying of stones, one after another, until you stand in a hall you yourself have constructed. In the present age, imagine a software developer who sets up automatic contributions to a retirement account month after month, ignoring market noise, focusing on mastering his craft and maintaining balance. This too is a modern expression of that secret. As we continue, you will feel how these principles are not relics, but living currents running beneath every culture and every era. The ninth secret glows like a small lantern in the darkness. It is the cultivation of inner equanimity amid external volatility. Picture a Roman senator during a panic in the grain market, sitting calmly at his desk, writing letters of reassurance to his family while others shout and scramble. He remembers that he controls only his judgment and his actions, not the storm itself. This composure allows clear decisions and preserves both wealth and dignity. In your own life, whether facing an economic downturn or a personal setback, the practice of equanimity gives you the ability to act rather than react, to choose rather than be driven. From this calm clarity emerges the 10th secret, which is ethical alignment, the understanding that money gained without virtue corrodes the soul and eventually the community around you. Imagine a merchant in a Moroccan souk who could cheat a traveler but chooses fair weights and honest prices, and as a result, builds a reputation that draws customers for decades. His children inherit not only wealth but trust, and in this way, his ethical alignment becomes a form of compounded value. In modern terms, this might mean refusing an exploitative deal even if it promises high profit, or investing in enterprises that respect human and natural well-being rather than those that destroy it. In doing so, you build not just a portfolio, but a life you can stand behind with pride and sleep soundly at night. The 11th secret rises like a mountain beyond the city walls. It is the deliberate cultivation of resilience. Picture a caravan crossing the Sahara. Sandstorms, unexpected detours, scarce water, yet the leader has prepared with extra supplies, alternate routes, and a flexible mindset. In your financial life, resilience means emergency savings, diversified income, and emotional readiness for change. It means accepting that setbacks will occur, but refusing to let them define you. Resilience transforms obstacles into teachers and failures into adjustments rather than final judgments. The 12th secret whispers from a different scene. A humble tea house in Kyoto, where a master pours water over leaves with slow, deliberate movements. The room is silent, except for the sound of water and the faint scent of roasted tea. This is the secret of mindful presence in transactions and spending. To pause before you purchase, to breathe before you commit, to understand why you are about to part with money and whether it aligns with your values. Mindful presence dissolves impulse buying, tempers envy, and creates a sense of gratitude for what you already possess. As we walk further, the 13th secret unfurls like a banner in the wind. It is the cultivation of community. Picture a circle of early farmers pooling resources to build irrigation channels none could afford alone. Their combined effort increases yields and creates stability for all. In your own life, this may mean building networks of mutual support, sharing knowledge, mentoring, or investing in cooperative ventures. Community turns isolated struggle into shared progress and creates resilience greater than any individual store of wealth. The 14th secret waits like a pearl hidden in a shell. It is the practice of gratitude and sufficiency. Picture a Stoic philosopher at dusk closing his notebook after listing not what he lacks, but what he already has, and feeling the quiet expansion of contentment that follows. Gratitude transforms the perception of wealth from a future prize into a present reality. And this shift reduces fear, increases generosity, and opens the door to wiser decisions. Finally, you approach the 15th secret, the culmination of all the others, and the place where my initial promise circles back upon itself. It is the integration of all these principles into a living philosophy of financial freedom, rather than a checklist of tactics. Imagine standing once again in the Roman Forum, now at midday, the sun high, the stalls open, the coins ringing. But within you there is a stillness. You have walked with patience, moderation, knowledge, progress, equanimity, ethics, resilience, mindfulness, community, and gratitude. You have planted seeds and watched them grow. You have aligned action with understanding. You have chosen simplicity and sufficiency. And now, as you stand in this bustling place, you realize that wealth is not a pile of coins, nor a number in an account, but a capacity, a state of being. A disciplined freedom that allows you to live according to your values and to extend that stability outward to others. This is the truth I promised at the beginning, that the deepest transformation of your financial life does not begin with external change, but with the shaping of your inner character. By living these 15 Stoic secrets, you become not merely richer, but freer, more resilient, and more generous. You leave this journey with a question rather than a command. How will you embody these principles in the next decision you make with your resources? Will you pause? Will you plan? Will you align your actions with your highest values? Or will you slip back into old habits? The answer will not be spoken here, but lived by you in the quiet choices of your days and nights. And as you step away from this reflection, carry with you the image of that quiet desk at dawn, lit by small lamps, each one a secret now yours to use for your own freedom and for the well-being of those you touch. For this is how Stoic wisdom changes not only a life, but an entire world of exchange, one person at a time and one deliberate act at a time. As you stand now at the quiet hold beyond the 15 secrets you have just walked through, you may feel a strange stillness, as if you were standing at the edge of a vast inner courtyard whose stones are older than your own memories, and whose sky stretches far beyond the ceilings of your present life. This is the space where wisdom begins to take root, not as scattered tips, but as a living philosophy. In this space, you are invited to look back at each secret, not as a separate tool, but as a thread woven into a single garment of freedom, discipline, and purpose. Imagine holding that garment in your hands, its fabric soft yet untearable, woven from patience, moderation, knowledge, progress, equanimity, ethics, resilience, mindfulness, community, and gratitude. Each thread is distinct yet inseparable from the whole. As you drape it across your shoulders, you feel how light it is compared to the heavy armor of anxiety, greed, and impulse that you once wore. This is not merely an image. It is a choice offered to you each day when you rise and face the world of money, work, and desire. Will you reach for the old armor or for the new garment of Stoic financial freedom? Imagine waking tomorrow and moving through your routines with a quiet awareness of impermanence, of voluntary simplicity, of long-view thinking. You brush your teeth. You pour your coffee. You open your accounts. Yet something subtle has shifted. You are no longer asking only how much you have, but how well you are living with what you have. You notice that you speak more gently with others. You listen more deeply before making a decision. You feel a small space open between stimulus and response, and in that space, you find your freedom. From that freedom flows a kind of wealth no market crash can erase, a wealth of character that shapes every outward action and transaction. Picture yourself months from now, sitting at a desk bathed in early light, writing down not just numbers, but reflections on what you value and how you want to move through the world. Perhaps you share these reflections with someone else. Perhaps you keep them private. But in either case, you are practicing the secret hidden beneath all the others, the secret of deliberate living in alignment with your highest principles. And as you do this, something remarkable happens. Your goals clarify. Your spending aligns. Your saving becomes purposeful. Your investing becomes patient. And your giving becomes joyful. The external results will come in time. Sometimes sooner, sometimes later, but the internal transformation begins at once. It is this transformation that will sustain you when conditions change. For as the ancient teachers knew, circumstances shift, fortune rises and falls, but character endures. Character guided by wisdom creates a life that is not only financially stable, but deeply meaningful and free. Now take a deep breath and picture again that Roman forum at dawn. The merchants not yet arrived, the stones cool underfoot, the statues silent and unblinking. This time you are not a passerby. You are a participant, carrying within you the memory of shepherds and fishermen, scholars and merchants, salarymen and tea masters. As you stand there, you realize that their lessons live in you, ready to be enacted in the smallest choices of your day and in the grand arc of your life. You leave this reflection not with a command, but with an invitation to embody these principles in your own unique way and to discover for yourself how the practice of Stoic wisdom can indeed change your financial life forever.